Mike, I just want to know how long it takes for a goalie to wipe the rust off when you haven't played much like you have.
Not that long if you have consistency in games that you're playing. I think it's been obviously with the schedule changes and coming back and then having a little tweak and not getting that consistency in games, to get on a kind of a roll has been more difficult, obviously, but it's been lots of practice time, that's for sure. But you just got to play. You got to play. You got to get in the games and play and have some rhythm to your, to just playing games and getting in there and feeling pucks and dealing with traffic and all the different situations that are really hard to simulate in practice.
I presume it's much harder for a goaltender as opposed to a winger who hasn't played. You can go up and down the wing and hit some people and try to get back into the game. Whereas in goal, you're the last line of defense, and it's tougher for a goaltender.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the season, and then having the injury, I think I played 2.5 games in 8 months. So I think that's not ideal, obviously, to feel good. Saying that, I've played a long time and dealt with injuries before and came back and been just fine. But just, with the inconsistency in practices and games and, the influx in the schedule has definitely added to the challenge of coming back and feeling good about where your game's at and trying to get it back on track and trying to help this team, get out of this little bit of a funk we're in. So I think it's all been new to the group, been new to me, and you're just trying to deal with it every single day as best you can and try to improve on what you've been dealt with.
And when you got hurt again, were you just muttering to yourself, or were you swearing to yourself after you got hurt in the road? Say, "Come on, I got to get through some games without even a minor injury."
Yeah,
in the road.
Yeah, definitely frustrating time. Obviously, you're trying to come back and be an impact player for your team and getting kind of a little bit of a rhythm and then just another freak thing that happened and was limiting me from doing what I needed to do. So definitely frustrating. But
you made 2 breakaway saves in that overtime. Were you hurt before you got to the overtime?
No, I wasn't.
It didn't look like it.
Honestly, I'll tell you what it was. It was I sprained my thumb. And it was on the second breakaway, and it was just a freak thing where my thumb got bent back. I went down, paddled down, and got put in a bad situation. I'd played for, pro hockey for 20 plus years and never had that happen. So it's just one of those things right now. It's just when it seems when things aren't going well, even for your team, we've had injury problems. We've had to deal with, the COVID issues, obviously, but we've had injury issues that have affected our lineup, and everyone deals with it. But when things aren't going, as you want them to, it seems like those things get, are magnified and seem to happen a little bit more. But saying that, there's a lot of games left, and I'm not going to dwell on what's happened in the past now. It's over and done with. I'm trying to move forward and feeling better every day on the ice now, and just want to get back in the net and start to get some consistency in our game here.
One last question about the puck handling is, it looks like you're back to making good plays with the puck. Was that a concern when you first came back after being out for so long?
Yeah, that's one thing that, it doesn't go away. It's kind of like riding a bike, but in the same sense, there's everything just happens faster when you get back in games, especially with not playing for so long. So I think the puck handling is something that it comes back quickly. The thing that takes a little longer is just the speed of the game and the the traffic. There's a lot of stuff going on in front of you, and that's, like I said, that stuff you don't really simulate in practice. You have to play to get back used to finding pucks through screens, deflections, funky bounces, and last game was an instance of that where a couple just take weird bounces and end up in the net. And when you seem like when you're playing and you're in a groove, some of those hit you at some points, and when things are going well, some of those pucks don't go in the net. So I think it's something you just battle through and try to keep a good attitude and a positive attitude, and understand there's a lot of games left that we can turn this thing around.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Mike. Zach talked yesterday, and a lot of the players have said during this tough stretch, you got to stay even keel, not too high, not too low. I'm just wondering your personal experience Is it now easier for you to sort of say that and actually do that since you have been through? I mean, do you look back on a 25-year-old Mike Smith and say, yeah, I actually can handle all this a little better than before?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely something I learned the hard way probably throughout the course of my career. You know, I used to beat myself up quite a bit, you know, before kids, before I had a family, and I'd wear it pretty hard for, you know, it seemed like, you know, game in, game out, it would last for, you know, a week, 2 weeks, you know, and it was hard to let go when you're kind of in a funk. But, you know, playing with Shane Doan for 6 years, I think he just told me, like, the ebbs and flows can't be so high and low that you're, you know, when things are going really well, it's nice, but when things aren't, you can't be so down that it's so far to climb back out of that hole. And so, I mean, Zach nailed it. I mean, it's the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of the season, you know, if you look back on it at the end of the season, don't really seem like that big of a deal. So I think it's just about really staying as even as possible and, you know, not listening to the noise and trying to deal with, you know, these unique situations as best as possible and sticking together as a group and going out there every night and trying to, you know, do whatever we can to win hockey games.
And I'll ask this question knowing maybe you're just going to tell me this is noise you didn't pay attention to. But last week, Tip was asked about a goal against the Rangers. He said something sort of critical of Mikko. Mikko did the interview and finished saying, well, you know, I don't score goals and I don't get a lot of goal support. Is that significant to you, or is just friction normal throughout the course of a season and they kind of got it off their chest? Do you look at that at all?
I don't know. I think I've played with Tip before and I've heard similar stuff, so it's nothing new. And I like what Mikko said too. I think he stuck up for himself, and it's not all in the goalies. You know, I think it's not one player in the room that's going to turn this thing around. It's a group effort, and I think you guys have been around long enough. I think if you guys watch the hockey games, it's not just one player that's going to win and lose you a hockey game. It's a team game, and that's the best part about playing hockey is that one or two players aren't going to win you a Stanley Cup. One or two players aren't going to lose you a Stanley Cup. It's a group effort, and if you don't have everyone pulling the same direction, then you have no chance. You have no chance at all. So, I mean, people can point fingers all they want, but at the end of the day, one person's not going to change this thing. And right now, our team game isn't good enough to get us over the hump. As a team, we need to be better. Each individuals need to be up their game a little bit more and figure out a mindset that allows us to win hockey games and gives us a chance to. Right now, I think up to this season, I think we've had 2 overtime games, I think.
4 now, yeah.
4?
Went to a shootout, yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know, that just tells me that we're either winning or we're losing. And some of the games we're losing, we're not finding ways just to push the game along and get a point and give ourselves a chance to win hockey games. So, like I said, that's not just one player. That's you know, as a whole group. In any team sport, not one player wins or loses a game. It's about a team, and the team aspect of it is what's most important. Sticking together and believing in ourselves and in the room, and not letting the noise bring us down.